Alright, we've got some interesting lighting in here. But, not as bad as it was. So I'm going to read from 3 books. This will be the first. I did want this to be number 3 out of 3, but oh well. So 3 books, 2 passages I somewhat agree with, and then the third, which I guess I'm recording first. And I tried to record out in the forest like I usually do because it's pretty, but the bugs were annoying. I wouldn't be able to get to the video. So anyway, this is from the book The Kite Runner by Khaled Hosseini. I'm cooking rice. Anyway, you should check out the film scene version of this too, because I think it's probably one of the best films in a movie. There won't be much commentary because this speaks for itself. So Baba and Amir are emigrating from Afghanistan, I think through Russia. Anyway, they end up in the US eventually, so they're immigrating, they're in the back of a truck. Boot heels clicked on asphalt. Someone flung open the tarpaulin hanging over the back of the truck. 3 faces peered in. One was Karim, the other 2 were soldiers. One Afghan, the other a grinning Russian. Face like a bulldog's, cigarette dangling from the side of his mouth. Behind them, a bone-colored moon hung in the sky. Karim and the Afghan soldier had a brief exchange in Pashto. I caught a little of it. Something about Toot and his bad luck. The Russian soldier thrust his face into the rear of the truck. He was humming the wedding song and drumming his finger on the edge of the tailgate. Even in the dim light of the moon, I saw the glazed look in his eyes as they skipped from passenger to passenger. Despite the cold, sweat streamed from his brow. His eyes settled on the young woman wearing the black shawl. He spoke in Russian to Karim without taking his eyes off her. Karim gave a curt reply in Russian, which the soldier returned with an even curter retort. The Afghan soldier said something to in a low, reasoning voice. The Russian soldier shouted something that made the other 2 flinch. I could feel Baba tightening up next to me. Baba again is the father. Karim is the young son, like 5 to 8 years old, I think. Karim cleared his throat, dropped his head. Said the soldier wanted a half hour with the lady in the back of the truck. The young woman pulled the shawl down over her face, burst into tears. The toddler sitting in her husband's lap started crying too. The husband's face had become pale as the moon hovering above. He told Karim to ask Mr. Soldier Sahib to show a little mercy. Maybe he had a sister or a mother. Maybe he had a wife too. The Russian listened to Karim and barked a series of words. It's his price for letting us pass, Karim said. He couldn't bring himself to look the husband in the eye. But we've paid a fair price already. He's paid good money, the husband said. Karim and the Russian soldier spoke. He says every price has a tax. That was when Baba stood up. It was my turn to clamp a hand on his thigh, but Baba pried it loose, snatched his leg away. When he stood, he eclipsed the moonlight. I want you to ask this man something, Baba said. He said to Karim, but looked directly at the Russian officer. Ask him where his shame is. They spoke. He says this is war. There's no shame in war. Tell him he's wrong. War doesn't negate decency. It demands it, even more than in times of peace. Do you always have to be a hero, I thought, my heart fluttering. Can't you just let it go for once? But he knew I couldn't. It wasn't in his nature. The problem was his nature was going to get us all killed. The Russian soldier said something to Karim, a smile creasing his lips. Aga Sahib, Karim said. These Rusi are not like us. They understand nothing about respect, honor. Can't change a book page with one hand. There we go. What did he say? He says he'll enjoy putting a bullet in you almost as much as... Karim trailed off, but nodded his head to the young woman who had cut the guard's eye. The soldier flicked his unfinished cigarette and unholstered his gun. So this is where Baba dies, I thought. This is how it's going to happen. In my head, I said a prayer I had learned in school. Tell him I'll take 1,000 of his bullets before I let this indecency take place, Baba said. My mind flashed to that winter day 6 years ago. He recounts a story where he let something bad happen to his friend by Symbolise. Because the son in this story is not as brave as Baba. Baba, sit down, please, I said, tugging at his sleeve. I think he really needs to shoot you. Baba slapped my hand away. Have I taught you nothing? He snapped. He turned to the grinning soldier. Tell him he'd better kill me with that first shot, because if I don't go down, I'm tearing him to pieces. God damn his father. The Russian soldier's grin never faltered when he heard the translation. He clicked the safety on the gun, pointed the barrel to Baba's chest. Heart pounding in my throat, I buried my face in my hands. The gun roared. It's done then. I'm 18 and alone. Oh, I guess in the story he's 18. In the film, he's younger. I have no one left in the world. Baba's dead and now I have to bury him. Where do I bury him? Where do I go after that? The whirlwind of half-thoughts spinning in my head came to a halt when I cracked my eyelids, found Baba still standing. I saw a second Russian officer with the others. Oh, sorry, my page is getting weird. It was from the muzzle of his upturned gun that the smoke swirled. The soldier who had meant to shoot Baba had already holstered his weapon. He was shuffling his feet. I never felt more like crying and laughing at the same time. The second Russian officer, gray-haired and heavy-set, spoke to us in broken Farsi. He apologized for his comrade's behavior. Russia sends them here to fight, he said, but they're just boys, and when they come here, they find the pleasure of drug. He gave the younger officer the rueful look of a father exasperated with his misbehaving son. This one is attached to drug now. I tried to stop him. He waved us off. Moments later, we were pulling away. I heard a laugh, and then the first soldier's voice, slurry and off-key, singing the old wedding song. We rode in silence for about 15 minutes before the young woman's husband suddenly stood and did something I'd seen many others do before him. He kissed Baba's hand. Watch the film of the scene of the film. Yeah, I think the book's more interesting because it conveys what's in the little son's mind. That's really what the story has to do a lot about. But you get the same moral of the movie that the son regrets a lot in his life. At one time in his childhood, he wasn't as brave as Baba. But anyway, I like that scene in the movie too. So there's two more readings that are shorter that are going to be from Heart of Darkness. This is just one small paragraph. And another more recent, like a self-help book, I guess you could say, by Mike McCargue, called You're a Miracle. And it's something I've probably said. It's very similar to something I've said about being confident and trying things. Because every time you try something first, it's not going to be very good. You can only get better the more you try. So never be afraid to try. Anyway, that's what the passage about that third book is about. Yeah, I think the rice is done. And I hope it's not stuck to the bottom of the pan.